Hey guys, John here from Headrush Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. I recently did a comparison on the channel of my EVH 5153 amplifiers versus 3 digital amp modeling platforms, the Fractal Audio XFX3, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and the Fender ToneMaster Pro. That was an interesting video with some quite shocking results, and it did cause quite a discussion on the internet, so I do recommend checking that out up here or down here if you haven't seen it yet. And the whole discussion was basically about the accuracy of the EVH 5153 model in the ToneMaster Pro, and eventually Fender admitted that there was something wrong with the model and they're going to fix it now. So that's great. Now in this video, I'm going to compare my real EVH 5153 50-watt EL34 tube amplifier to 3 capture platforms. And those platforms are IK Multimedia's Tonex, again the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and the Headrush Prime, as those are all platforms that do capturing or profiling or however you want to call it. And just as in the previous comparison, I'm just going to use the red channel on this amplifier for a nice and modern high gain tone, which is my favorite channel and tone of this amplifier. It sounds huge, it sounds tight and crunchy, and it's just awesome. And I'm going to use the exact same amp settings as in the previous video, so all the EQ controls at noon basically, including the resonance control on the back. And gain is set to about 10 o'clock or so, which is plenty of gain for this amplifier because this thing has a ton of gain. Now for the real amp and the captures, I'm using the exact same reactive load, which is the Fractal LB-2 X-Load reactive load, and then the exact same OwnHammer impulse response for each platform as well as the real amplifier. And the IR that I chose here is the Rockbox edvh 2013A Rockbox speaker option with the modern 3 mic mix, which is the same IR that I used in the previous video, and it sounds great. It's a great option for getting that EVH speaker sound in your device or in your DAW. Now for all the IRs, I'm using the exact same IR loader plugin, which is Libra, just to make sure that all the IRs sound exactly the same across all platforms. And the guitar that I'm using here is my ESP LTD NW44 with the bare knuckle aftermath pickup in it. Okay, let's go ahead and start by taking a listen to a comparison of the real EVH 5153 versus the Tonex tone model that I made. And as per usual, to create this tone model, I used my Line 6 Helix rack as the audio interface, and I used the advanced capture mode as well for the most accurate results. And I like to use my Line 6 Helix rack for making captures because it's just very easy to work with and very straightforward, so it gives me great results. I'm also using the Tonex Capture DI box in between to eliminate unwanted noise. And in none of the platforms I'm going to change the EQ controls or stuff like that, because I just want to see how well the platforms can capture this amplifier without human interference, so to speak. And all the files have been level matched as well, to make sure that we get the most fair comparison possible. Okay, let's go ahead and take a listen right now. Alright, now that was obviously very impressive. Especially in the mix, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. It sounds that close. In the isolated sections, I did notice a little bit of a difference in the low end if you listen very closely, on proper monitors of course and not your phone speaker. The real amplifier seems to have those nice, fat and thick and gooey, warm sub-lows going on that stay very consistent across all the parts basically. It's just a nice sort of compression in the low end that's very even and very analog sounding. But I guess you could say that it's a quite subtle difference. I'll be sure to upload this tone model to the ToneNet cloud for you guys so you can try it out for yourself. Of course, to get the exact same tone, you're going to have to use that OwnHammer IR that I used. I'll put a link in the description below. And if you're interested in more of my tone models, you can check out my Heavy Legends Volume 1 and Volume 2 on ToneNet as well. Now let's move on to the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I also created the capture on that device with the exact same setup, etc. And I know I sold my previous Quad Cortex and I even made a video about it, but I got another one for a really good price and the PC app is there. They're going to include plugin integration pretty soon. And now I can feature a Quad Cortex in these videos again, so I'm quite happy about that, to be honest. Okay, so now I reamped the tracks through the Quad Cortex as my audio interface. So everything is being reamped digitally for the most accurate results. And I didn't tweak the amp, EQ, or gain controls in the capture block at all. Let's take a listen. Very cool. That definitely also sounded great. Not as accurate as Tonex perhaps, but still very nice and quite accurate. I guess the tone was a little bit more forward sounding than the real amplifier and the Tonex Capture, with a little bit less of that organic sort of roundness and sag, I guess you could say. And also, just as with the Tonex Capture, that sort of organic and fat consistent low end was also kind of different and missing a little bit. But again, quite subtle. So yeah, I think it sounds great in the mix especially, and it's just a great tone overall. And I'll be sure to upload this capture as well to the Neural DSP cloud so you guys can check it out for free. Now let's make an amp clone with the Headrush Prime. So yeah, I made a clone, same settings and all that stuff as before, same reactive load and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Check it out. Okay, so this one was definitely a lot less accurate than the other platforms so far. I could have probably done some tweaking in the clone block, add some gain, scoop some mids maybe, add some sag, stuff like that, that rabbit hole. But again, I wanted to see how accurately these devices can capture an amp without our human assistance, basically. And unfortunately, the Headrush Prime doesn't seem to be able to capture this amp accurately. The frequency response seems off, and the model is much stiffer sounding and less organic, less saturated, and yeah, just kind of stiff overall. I guess you could say it's a little bit honky sounding or something. It's always hard to describe those tonal differences with words, but maybe you guys are hearing the same thing as I'm hearing. I will upload this clone to the cloud so you guys can try it for yourself. And now finally, let's do an isolated A/B back-to-back comparison so you guys can hear all the platforms next to the amplifier and side by side and all the good stuff. Check it out. Cool. So again, obviously the real amp sounds absolutely killer. I've really been loving this amplifier lately. Tonex is really accurate. Let's say that it's about 95% there. I mean, there's just a little bit missing, but it's very close indeed. Definitely close enough. And the Quad Cortex also was quite impressive. Let's say around 89 or 90% there, so really cool. And the Headrush Prime, unfortunately, just wasn't close enough. I would say about 45 to 50% close. So yeah, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is, in my opinion, of course. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are and which one sounded the best to you. And if you've tried my capture from the clouds, let me know what your thoughts are. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it useful. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!